This is this is a brief preview of my newest book. This is Chapter 1, Section 1A. This section is Meeting the Master Builder in a Fairy Tale About Visual Basic for Applications, VBA, Chapter 1A. I'm going to teach you VBA in a way that will make it easy for you to remember. I'm going to associate VBA functions and other actions to a container or a jar. But before I do this, let's get you in the mood for learning something a bit complex by telling you a story. Once upon a time, there was a small yet very powerful creature that lived inside of every computer's operating system, browser, console, application, and app. This creature was more powerful than anything ever known to man, but its powers were out of reach of humans that were ignorant about its language and purpose. You see, this creature, although powerful, had to serve any human that learned its language and its purpose. So this creature did everything that it could to dissuade humans from believing in their ability to learn program languages like Microsoft Visual Basic for Applications, VBA, JavaScript, or C++. This creature would taunt humans by calling them fleshlings and moisture packs. It did everything that it could to belittle humans, but one day, a little boy about 7 years old just happened to stumble upon an old man. This old man was sitting next to a narrow, dirty creek, with his back up against a large, old, majestic tree that was rooted into the ground, about 3 feet from this narrow creek. The old man had a laptop with him, and he appeared to be typing something inside of it. The little boy eased up behind the old man, and he saw the man typing gibberish, although immediately the laptop screen changed colors and produced a 3D object that was spinning in the center of the laptop screen display. The little boy wasn't noticed by the old man, because he, the old man, was known to be deaf in both ears. The man reproduced the screen that had the gibberish, and he typed in more gibberish. A few seconds later, the same screen appeared with 3D object spinning, but this time there was also a dancing stick man to the left of the object. The man seemed pleased with himself, and a few seconds after he closed the laptop, the little creature appeared and bowed its head to the old man, and it looked at the old man straight in the eyes and slowly moved its lips, as if to allow the old man to read what it was saying. The creature asked this question: "Master, have I served you well?" The old man replied, "You have done as you always have, being the slave of the operating system, browser, and console. You have served me well as always." The little boy had heard stories or fairy tales about a human that was wiser than the little creature that loved to taunt humans. It is said that this little creature's true home is not of this world, but inside of an electronic device that allows humans to type and create their life stories, wishes, and desires. However, this creature leaves its home often to venture into the human world to taunt those who hasn't figured out its secrets. You see, it is said that this creature is like a genie. It must grant your every wish if you learn its language and its purpose. However, unlike a genie who only grants you 3 wishes, this creature becomes a slave to any human that learns to speak, write, and understand its language. The next day, the little boy arrived at the creek to spy on the old man again. By this time, when he eased up behind the man, he was greeted with words that he didn't expect. "I've been waiting for you." The little boy looked around, but he saw no one. The old man had not even turned to look directly at the little boy when he spoke again. "I'm talking to you, little one. I know that you were here yesterday, and I also know that you're curious about my relationship with the little creature that you saw me talking to. So I'll tell you everything about my relationship with the Master Builder today." Before the old man spoke again, he turned his head to look the little boy in the eyes, and he continued, "I'm old, and I need to pass my knowledge on to someone who will carry on the relationship with the Master Builder." The little boy asked, "Who is the Master Builder?" "Why, it's the creature that you saw me talking to yesterday," replied the old man. "He lives in all computers' operating systems. He lives in all browsers, and he lives in all consoles, applications, and apps." The old man instructed the boy, "Come sit down beside me so we can get started, because I don't have much time left." The little boy The little boy did as he was told. The old man opened up his laptop and he called on the creature to appear. Master Builder, I command you to show yourself. Not more than a second later, the creature appeared. The old man informed the creature that it was time that he had a new master. You have served me for more than 65 years, but unlike you, I can't and won't live forever. You will live as long as a human needs your services. Therefore, I've chosen someone that will keep you alive. We both know that despite your taunts towards humans, that you need us to keep you alive. You'll never die, but you'll no longer exist with your powers if a human doesn't request your services. As much as the creature hated serving humans, it knew what the old man had stated was true, and the creature didn't want to cease to exist without its amazing powers, just because it despised, in its opinion, inferior humans having total dominion over it. We'll need to start from the beginning, stated the old man. Son, as I type, the Master Builder will demonstrate his powers for you. He is more than just a magical creature. He is also an emperor of all things that lives inside of computers. But we are going to start out with something simple, and that's going to be a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. The Master Builder speaks many languages within the computer world, and you'll need to be fluent in whichever one you'll be using to request the services of the Master Builder. Since we are starting with Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, you'll be learning the language called VBA. VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications. The application is Microsoft Excel. VBA is a Microsoft language. From this point forward, the Master Builder will be known simply as the application. Whenever the application is mentioned, it will be the Master Builder working his magic to grant us what we've instructed by way of our lines of code. Now, let's get started, shall we? The little boy nodded agreeably. Getting acquainted with VBA integers, variants, text strings, ranges, cells, message boxes, and input boxes. Chapter 1B. Our first lesson begins now, said the old man. When you first open up Excel workbook, you'll automatically see sheet 1 as shown in example, or should I say sample object 1A. Before going any further, this is a note to the readers. I'd like for you all to download this text file that contains some of the codes in Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Some of these codes will be long, and they will wrap in this ebook, but they must not wrap in the VBA module window. Thus, I've remedied this issue by pasting all of the long codes into a text file. This text file will allow users to just copy and paste the full code directly into the VBA module window and run it to see the correct results. Users must still follow my instructions before running each code so they work as they were intended. Here's the link. Next, we need to access the screen that will allow us to write our own unique VBA code. So we'll need to click on the 9th top tab from the left. It's called the Developer tab, as shown in Sample Object 1B. I've typed a 1 and a 2 above the Developer tab and the Visual Basic portal or gateway. You must access the portal or gateway in order to speak to the Master Builder. It and I have known each other for so long that it sometimes takes a vacation in my brain. This is why I can call on it anytime that I need its services. But you won't be able to call on the Master Builder, aka the application, unless you open the VBA portal. And now, after you click on the Developer tab, you'll move down to the next level and all the way over to the leftmost side of the menu bar. You should see Visual Basic icon. You'll need to click on it, Visual Basic icon, and you'll see the Microsoft Visual Basic for Applications VBA Book 1 window open for you, as shown in Sample Object 1C. Once you're in the VBA window, you'll click on the Insert drop-down menu option and move down and select Module, as shown in Sample Object 1D. Sample Object 1E displays a newly opened module window. This is where you'll type your commands for the Master Builder, aka application. It'll execute your wishes line by line, starting from the top line of code and working downwards line by line. In Sample Object 1E, You see how to begin your instructions for the Master Builder, aka application. You'll always start your instructions to it, the application, by typing the word sub and then single space followed by any name for this container that will hold all of your demands, commands, or instructions for the application to execute for you. The subcontainer name can be Ukashuka, begin parentheses, close parentheses, Mukaludidi, begin parentheses, close parentheses, Peg leg, begin parentheses, close parentheses, Captain Trouble Crook, begin parentheses, close parentheses, L, K, J, L, J, L, J, D, F, D, J, F, begin parentheses, close parentheses, K3 underscore 34 E, R, begin parentheses, close parentheses, or whatever name that you desire. The name will be for this main container or folder that will hold each line of your instructions to be executed by the application. To make it easy to understand, I've made a visualization of what sample object 1E means. It can be seen in subfolder new image. Subfolder new. This image shows how a user creates a brand new empty container or folder that will hold all requests to be executed by the application. Sub kin sample, begin parentheses, close parentheses, in sub. Next line. After you create your main folder or container and you name it, as you've already done in sample object 1E, you'll be ready to create additional smaller folders or subcontainers to go inside your main folder or container. A subcontainer name isn't followed by the two parentheses, e.g. begin parentheses, close parentheses. Instead, it will be followed by the words as, example, as integer, as variant, as string, as long, etc. Once it is created, it will always be followed by an equal sign. Example, the equal symbol. When it is being filled with something, example, kin container equals 1. Kin container equals I love you. Kin container equals input box. Begin parentheses, begin quote, type something, close quote, comma, begin parentheses, close parentheses, begin quote, close parentheses, comma, etc. This is how you will always know that a new subcontainer is being created and filled with something. It's just like any filing system where you have a main folder and subfolders inside the main folder. The main folder is the name that follows the opening subtag. Example, kin sample, begin parentheses, close parentheses. And the subcontainers are the containers that have equal signs after them. Example, kin container equals 1. Dim, D-I-M, means to create a new folder or subcontainer. Next, you type the new name followed by the as. That's A-S. And lastly, you decide if the new folder or subcontainer will hold a number only, a text string only, or numbers, text strings, and objects like input boxes. If your new folder or subcontainer will only contain a numeric character, example 1, 3, 45, etc., you'll indicate this by typing integer as in dim, D-I-M, space, K sample, K-S-A-M-P-L-E, space, as, capital A, small s, space, integer, capital I, small n, T-E-G-E-R. This is the code below showing the sample. Sub, space, kin sample, begin parentheses, close parentheses, that's spelled capital S-U-B, space, capital K-E-N, capital S-A-M-P-L-E, no spaces between them, begin parentheses, close parentheses, next line, dim, folder for number as integer, that is spelled capital D, small I-M, space, capital F-O-L-D-E-R, capital F-O-R, capital N-U-M-B-E-R with no spaces between that word. It's just one word. Space, capital A, small s, space, capital I-N-T-E-R-G. Let's start over. Capital I, small N-T-E-G-E-R. Next line. End sub. That's spelled capital E-N-D space capital S-U-B. That concludes this brief preview of my newest book. This has been an audio preview for you to all know what you have to look forward to in the newest book. Thanks. My name is Kenny L. Keys. You can check this book out and more at Amazon.com by typing my full name in the search menu. Kenny L. Keys. That's K-E-N-N-Y space middle initial is L as in Larry or Lion. Space, keys, like your car keys. That's capital K-E-Y-S. Thanks. Take care. Here is an audio preview of my latest book. The code that you're currently looking at will be explained line by line, as will be most of the codes in this first two chapters. Let's get started with explaining this code here, and this is what you'd expect to find in the book. This first line of code instructs the application to create a main folder to hold all subcontainers and commands to be executed. The container is to be named Wait Test, as shown below. The second line of code instructs the application to create a new subcontainer named key to hold a numeric character, e.g., or example, 1, number 4, number 567, etc. The code that applies to is dim, that's D-I-M, space, key, K-E-E, space, as, A-S, space, integer, I-N-T-E-G-E-R. Now, on to the next line. This third line of code instructs the application to put a number 1 inside the subcontainer named key, as shown below. The code this impacts is the third line, key, K-E-E, space, equal symbol, space, the number 1. Moving on to the next line. This fourth line of code instructs the application, Microsoft Excel, to start the loop statement. The requirements for this loop statement to begin and continue is that the cell located in row 1, column 1, which is cell A1, must not be an empty cell. If the cell has something typed in it, the loop code will begin. The code this impacts is while cells, parentheses, key, comma, 1, close parentheses, not equal to empty. That is spelled while, W-H-I-L-E, space, cells, C-E-L-L-S, parentheses, key, K-E-E, comma, space, the number 1, close your parentheses, space, less than symbol, greater than symbol with no spaces, space, 2 double quotes, back to back, nothing between them. Let's move on to the fifth line. This fifth line of code instructs the application to take the numeric value that is typed into row 1, column 1, which is cell A1, and compare it to the built-in color index palette. When it finds the number in the palette, it uses the number associated with that number to fill the background color in cell A1. The code that is related to this one is cells, begin parentheses, key, comma, space, 1, close parentheses, period, interior, period, color index, space, equal symbol, space, cells, begin parentheses, key, comma, space, the number 1, close parentheses, period, value. That is spelled cells, C-E-L-L-S, begin parentheses, key, K-E-E, comma, space, and of course the number 1, period. Interior, I-N-T-E-R C-O-L-R, period. Color index, C-O-L-O-R-I-N-D-E-X, space, equal symbol, space, cells, C-E-L-L-S, begin parentheses, key, K-E-E, comma, the number 1, close parentheses, period, value, V-A-L-U-E. That concludes this preview.